Has it ever happened to you that you give everything in love, and yet you feel that the men you like pull away, don't value you, or just aren't interested in you? That the more you try to please them, the more emptiness and rejection you find. Maybe you've been waiting for your ideal man for a long time to feel complete, and along the way, you've ended up in relationships that leave you broken over and over again, with your self-esteem shattered. And that hurts, doesn't it? I know. That feeling that I'm doing something wrong is horrible. But let me tell you something because it's very important. You're not broken and you are enough. There is a deeper reason why the love you long for hasn't arrived, and there is also a different way to attract it. A way that starts within you, not by chasing someone else. The truth is, to win over your ideal man, you first have to win over yourself. This idea might be confusing at first because you might think, Johnny Abraham, aren't I supposed to do something to make him like me? And the answer is yes and no. Yes, because you are going to take action, but not in the traditional way of seducing or chasing that man, but through very strategic inner work on yourself, so that you become such a fulfilled and magnetic woman that you naturally attract a man at that level. And the curious thing here is that when you stop chasing and searching, that's when the right man appears, almost as if by magic, but it's not magic, it's cause and effect. Because when you heal, you stop projecting lack and emptiness onto others and start projecting fulfillment. You project that you are someone ready to build a life with someone. And when it comes to building a real team, the right man wants someone fulfilled to walk side by side, not someone he needs to carry, save, or educate as if she were his daughter. That's why in this episode I want to share with you 6 powerful steps to become a magnetic woman and win over your ideal man. These steps are not something I'm making up. Those typical videos you see on YouTube are the result of studying both the emotional, the energetic, and the practical aspects. I'm talking about things like your self-love, your self-esteem, your connection, your feminine energy, and many more things. You'll see. By the end of this episode, you will have complete clarity on how to attract that person you long for from your wholeness, awareness, and personal power, and no longer from emptiness, neediness, lack, fear, or desperation. First, focus on healing your relationship with yourself. It's the foundation of everything. A truly attractive and magnetic woman loves and values herself before expecting someone else to do it for her. And why is this so important? Because the relationship you have with yourself determines the quality of all your relationships in the outside world. If in your inner dialogue you constantly criticize yourself, judge yourself, or deep down believe that you're not enough, or that you have to change to be accepted and loved, that's the energy you're going to project. But if, on the contrary, you treat yourself with love, respect, and patience, you'll teach others how to treat you, and that's the energy you'll project as well. Which do you think is more attractive and healthy? Consider this. How would you expect someone else to find you amazing if you don't see yourself that way? Thinking of yourself as someone important is not arrogance, nor is it ego. It's thinking of yourself as someone you love, someone you care for, admire, and protect. That's healthy self-love. And when you love yourself, you give off a different energy. You seem more confident, calmer, and more attractive. Your attitude changes and others notice it even without you saying a word. And not only that, but they want some of that energy. By taking care of your thoughts and emotions and staying in positive states, your energy becomes a magnet that attracts what you desire. It sounds mysterious and almost mystical, but there's a very simple explanation. People are attracted to those who radiate confidence and well-being. We are attracted to confidence and well-being because either we want what we don't have, or we connect with what feels familiar to us. And this second possibility has to do with the kind of men you long for, men who also radiate all of that because they have it within themselves. But to attract them, you first have to become that yourself. And let me be clear about this too. To explain myself better, I'll share a small example from one of my students, whom we'll call Anna. Anna used to go into every date with a lot of fear of rejection, because deep down she thought that if a man really got to know her, he wouldn't like her. That insecurity led her to act needy without realizing it. She was constantly checking her phone, waiting for messages. She would say yes to any plan just to please others and never expressed her opinions or needs out of fear of not being liked or of being disliked. What was the result of that? Her dates rarely went beyond a couple of meetings because men sensed that energy of, I don't value myself, so please value me. That is neediness. And even though she was a wonderful woman, something just didn't attract them and even less kept them interested. And needless to say, she couldn't keep them around. Let's be honest. No one in their right mind wants to be with someone they have to save or rescue. Healthy people look for healthy love. We want partners we can team up with. We don't want daughters or sons to take care of and carry. When we started working with Anna in one of my courses, first, what I focused on with her was for her to learn to love herself, to take care of her well-being, to treat herself better in every way, and to put herself at the center of her own life. And what do you think happened when Anna met someone after she completed this process? She showed up to the date relaxed, genuine, not desperate, and talked about her passions, interests, and what she liked, but she also listened to the other person with interest. She was no longer thinking every second, does he like me? No, she was simply herself. And then, that man, who is now her partner, confessed to her that what he loved the most was the light and confidence he saw in her. Those are his exact words. And just as Anna ignited that light by working on her self-love, you can do it too, because remember that self-love is the foundation of your emotional and spiritual well-being. So, value yourself, accept yourself, and work on yourself. Not because you don't want to accept who you are, but because you can become the best version of yourself. Don't settle for staying as you are, seek to grow. Improve and heal, because your current version, even if you accept it, is full of emotional armor, meaning defense mechanisms, wounds, and emotional baggage that are not your true self. So heal your relationship with yourself, cultivate your self-love, and by being love, you'll be able to connect with love and build a loving relationship as a couple. If you're full of wounds, chaos, and drama, then you will only cause more wounds, more chaos, and a lot of drama. And not just to the other person, but to yourself as well. What do you prefer? Step 2. Balance your feminine and masculine energy within yourself. Maybe you've heard about feminine and masculine energy. Others know them as communal and agentic energy, or as anima and animus. But let's say feminine and masculine, because this isn't just about being a man or a woman. In fact, we all have both energies within us, but the feminine energy is the one we associate with our receptive, creative, intuitive, sensitive, and loving side, while the masculine is more logical, focused, and solution-oriented. And to live fully, we need a certain balance. However, here's the reality. And that is, if you want to attract a man with healthy and strong masculine energy, in other words, a man who is a gentleman, a provider, solution-oriented, and a true teammate, it's better to activate the opposite pole than to end up mothering him. It's better for you to activate your feminine energy so that there's polarity, in other words, so that there's a balance between opposite poles that attract and complement each other. Activating your feminine energy basically means allowing yourself to be instead of always doing. It's about focusing more on feeling than on achieving, and I'll explain this in more detail. Currently, many women, because of the demands of the modern world, spend all day in their masculine energy, making decisions, leading, doing, solving problems, and seeking results. And that's not a bad thing. It has given them independence, achievements, and helps them move forward. But when it comes to romantic relationships, that same woman who is a strong leader at work intimidates men or attracts men who are more passive and act like children. And that happens because they never step out of their masculine energy, so they come home without making space to receive and be cared for. They stay in their masculine role and end up carrying everything on their own. Feminine energy, on the other hand, invites us to flow, to relax, to trust, to connect with our emotions and also with our body, not just with the mind and logic. There's a quote from a spiritual teacher that I love to remember, and it says that the feminine is the most powerful dimension of life. The feminine can only flourish in a situation of peace, and if it doesn't flourish, you won't have anything in your life. What does this mean? That your feminine power, meaning your ability to love, to create, to attract, truly arises when you let go of tension and control. If you are rigid and defensive in a controlling way, and you want to generate results, but you don't care about enjoying the process, that beautiful feminine energy can't shine, and without it, life and love feel empty. On the other hand, when you allow yourself to relax and trust, you connect with your intuition, with your sensitive and creative side, and you become much more attractive because you are at peace with yourself. All of this is not about becoming a passive or submissive woman at all, it's about balance and authenticity of your being. Your masculine energy helps you set boundaries, make decisions, and solve big problems when necessary, but your feminine energy will allow you to attract instead of chase and to shape instead of force. Think about the dynamics of a dance. Imagine a tango. The man proposes the movement. That's masculine energy, but the woman follows with grace, bringing her own artistry, enriching the whole dance, and bringing much more expression to it. That's feminine energy. If both wanted to lead the dance, they would get stuck, step on each other's feet. And if neither led, then the dance simply wouldn't flow. The same thing happens in seduction. When you leave space for him to move forward and take the initiative while you respond, enjoy, and show your interest in a receptive way, that spark of natural attraction is created. It's like the flower and the bee. The flower doesn't fly away. The flower doesn't go chasing after the bee. It blooms, shows its colors, spreads its sweet scent, and then the bee comes to it. You, woman, are that flower. Your job is to bloom and become your best and most beautiful version. Shine with your own light. That is what it means to be magnetic, to develop certain habits and attitudes that enhance your energy, your well-being, and your self-confidence. And I promise you that when you do, the right men will notice. A quick story. Kimina, another one of my students, was a very successful woman in her career and led a huge team. And she was used to giving orders, dominating, controlling, but in her relationships, without realizing it, she took on that same controlling role. She organized everything and decided everything. And she got frustrated because she felt that she attracted lazy men or men who weren't gentlemen or who weren't up to her standards. That's why we worked on her letting go of control a bit, balancing her energies and expressing what she wanted, but also letting the man take the initiative. For example, instead of her deciding every detail of the date, she started saying, "I love it when you surprise me. What do you have planned for us this weekend?" At first, it was hard for her to say it like that. She felt vulnerable and thought she was submitting. But then she understood that these are subtle ways of saying she wants to be surprised, and she started dating a man who told her, "Just let me spoil you, I'll take care of everything." And instead of fighting for control, she learned to relax and enjoy. That man told her that with her he felt inspired to give his best because he valued her independent side, but he also loved seeing her sweet side, which made him feel strong and useful, and that with her he truly felt like they were a team. Jimena, my student, now feels much more at peace and tells me in our weekly check-in sessions that it's beautiful to be able to let her guard down with someone she trusts and with whom she can simply be herself. In short, your feminine energy is your magnetic superpower and it's very attractive, so embrace it. Don't be afraid of losing power by relaxing or letting yourself be guided sometimes. On the contrary, by doing so, you're displaying a different kind of power, subtle but profound. So trust that you can be strong and gentle at the same time because a woman in her feminine energy inspires the right man to come closer, to care for her and love her, because he feels that with her he can shine. His masculine side is like a beautiful yin-yang where both win by completing each other. So take a deep breath, let yourself unwind mentally, and allow your feminine side to blossom. Remember, if your life is a garden, then your feminine energy is that flower that attracts the hummingbird. Take care of that flower. Water it with self-love and self-acceptance. Step 3. Heal your past wounds and break those patterns of emotional lack. This step is crucial because we could say it's one of the most emotionally challenging but also the most liberating. Heal your emotional wounds from the past so you stop choosing from a place of scarcity or what's called traumatic compatibility. What do I mean by this? That many times, without realizing it, we go through life repeating patterns in our relationships. We choose partners who are very similar to those we've had before or to what we experienced in our childhood at home. These dynamics hurt us, and all because we believe that if we make that relationship work, we will heal our family history. But it doesn't work that way. That's why many people end up in a kind of story where the same day keeps repeating itself over and over again. I mean, the same type of man, the same problems, and the same sad ending. Does that sound familiar to you? This isn't because you're unlucky, there's a deep psychological reason for it. Our subconscious seeks out what's familiar, even if it's dysfunctional. If, for example, as a child you saw that love was painful, maybe because your mom or dad fought a lot, or one of them abandoned you, or you suffered rejection or abuse, it's possible that as an adult you unconsciously feel attracted to people who trigger those same feelings. And it's very hard to admit it because consciously we tell ourselves, I don't want to suffer, I'm not choosing this just to suffer, but there's something inside in your wounded inner child that recognizes a painful kind of love as something familiar and even deserved. For example, if you grew up with an absent father, you might unintentionally look for emotionally distant men and it hurts, but a part of you also thinks this is love. This is what love feels like. You have to fight to receive crumbs and emotional leftovers. Or maybe if you had a very critical mother, you might end up with partners who constantly put you down, recreating that feeling of not being enough because that's what feels familiar to you. This is called trauma based compatibility. In other words, we connect from trauma, from the wound, instead of from a healthy place. Two people whose wounds fit together can have intense chemistry at first, and that's why sometimes those toxic relationships start with fireworks, but soon after they lead to a lot of pain. You chase after someone who pulls away, you take care of things, you please someone who is never satisfied, and each situation reopens your original wound. It's a hellish cycle that you can only break by doing inner work to make the unconscious conscious and heal it with practical tools like the ones some mentors provide in our courses and methodologies. So, here, in this step, I want to invite you to do something very brave. Look inside yourself with humility and a lot of love and compassion. Identify what those wounds might be in you. There are the well known childhood wounds: rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, and injustice. Which of them resonates with your story? Are there past events with your parents or with your first loves that left deep scars on your soul and heart? If so, how might those scars be influencing the people you choose or the way you behave in love? I want to share with you the case of Laura, another student I worked with, and she said to me in tears from the start, "Johnny, why do I always attract men who hurt me? One cheated on me, another manipulated me, and another completely ignored me. Do I have a magnet for jerks or what?" And when we started to explore her personal story, we discovered that her main wound was abandonment. Her father had walked out of her life when she was 5 years old. So that little girl inside was left with the belief that the men I love are going to abandon me. That's why I have to work so hard to make them stay. Do you see the connection? That belief led her, as an adult, to chase after her partners, to put up with anything just so she wouldn't be abandoned. And unfortunately, many people took advantage of that. It was like something inside her said, "You can treat me badly, I still won't ever leave you, just please don't abandon me." And that was the trauma that Laura repeated over and over again. But working with her was beautiful, intense, but beautiful. And when she finally let me guide her and integrated what she'd learned, she broke the pattern, healed the wound, stopped tolerating crumbs, and stopped chasing after men who weren't available. She even started to notice that she wasn't even attracted to those bad boy types anymore. I mean, those emotional guys who used to drive her crazy, or more than emotional, toxic. And one day, a different man appeared in her life, attentive, available, consistent, someone who made an effort. And at first, Laura said, "Too good to be true. Where's the catch?" But there was no catch. She had changed so much inside that she was able to see, recognize, connect with, and appreciate a good man. Some things she might have dismissed as boring before. Healing is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for your future. It's telling destiny, "You don't rule me, I choose my path, not my wounds." Let's move on to step 4. Define your standards and set clear boundaries. This is very important and powerful because a magnetic woman is not someone who pleases everyone just to be liked or accepted. On the contrary, a whole woman who has worked on herself and done her inner work is the one who is clear about what she wants, what she doesn't want, what she tolerates and what she doesn't, what she offers and what she won't offer. Her standards are like the quality rules she has defined for her life and her relationships, and her boundaries are the lines she sets to protect those rules from herself and from others. And well, of course, all of this is not just because she is demanding, but because she is consistent with who she is. She expects what she gives and won't settle for less. Sadly, when people hear this kind of thing, many misunderstand it and then go and ask for a lot but offer nothing, and well, it doesn't work that way. I want you to think about this. When you don't have well-defined standards and boundaries, it's like letting anyone into your house and allowing them to do whatever they want. Some will leave a mess, others will break your furniture because you didn't set any rules, and above all, because you let anyone in. And by the example of how you treat yourself, you allow others to do whatever they want with you. On the other hand, when you take care of yourself, treat yourself well, love yourself, and know what you deserve, it's like having a very clear sign that says, "In this house, disrespect and toxic love are not allowed, and whoever can't handle that doesn't come in." Many people are afraid to set boundaries or raise their standards because we've been taught to please others and, above all, to get married. That's why many people accept anything just to meet the requirement and out of fear of being alone. But the sad reality is that by not setting boundaries and not raising your standards out of fear of being alone, you end up surrounded by bad company, which is much worse than being alone. Don't you think so? When you love, take care of, and respect yourself, being single stops being scary because you don't feel empty or incomplete. You have yourself, and paradoxically, that makes someone come into your life faster, offering exactly what you want and long for. Step 5 is to communicate authentically and clearly, because there's no point in working on yourself internally if, when you want to express yourself and interact with someone, you don't show who you really are and what you need. Communication is the bridge between your inner world and the outside, and a magnetic woman knows how to cross that bridge with confidence and honesty. Effective and nonviolent communication are basic skills for any healthy relationship. Only with clear and honest communication can couples resolve conflicts, express their needs, and strengthen their emotional bond. And I'm telling you all this in an episode about attracting your ideal partner, because the way you communicate with someone from the very beginning will set the tone for the entire relationship. Do you want a relationship based on trust and closeness? Or do you want something where everyone is just guessing? Do you want to be heard? Then you also have to learn to listen. Communication is what builds the relationship, and the right man won't be scared off if you're honest about your desires, pains, or needs, as long as you communicate things with respect and assertiveness. And if he gets scared, well, thank you and goodbye, because he wasn't the right one for you or he wasn't ready for mature communication. It's that simple. I know showing your true self is scary, but would you rather be accepted for a mask you can't maintain or loved for who you really are? And step 6, build a fulfilling life and be passionate about it, about yourself. We've reached a beautiful step, having more to your world and your life than just a partner. And this is one of the most underrated keys to attracting your ideal man. Believe it or not, having such a fulfilling life and a world you've built for yourself that the other person wants to share that world with you and be a part of it. And maybe this sounds contradictory to you and you think, aren't I supposed to focus on that if I want a partner? Partly yes, but ironically, the more fulfilling, satisfying, and rich your life is with yourself, the more attractive it will be for someone to want to join you in it. When your whole world is about looking for a partner, without realizing it, you can fall into emotional dependency or extreme neediness, and that's not attractive at all. It also leaves you vulnerable to settling for anything. But when you focus on building your life, pursuing your dreams, enjoying the present, learning, growing, and contributing, you become a happier and more complete person. And from that sense of fulfillment, when the right man comes along to build a loving relationship, believe me, he'll be the cherry on top, not the whole cake. Don't wait to have a partner to be happy. Be happy, and the partner will come to multiply that happiness, not to create it out of nothing. Because no partner can save you from yourself. You have to do that yourself. I'd like to end this episode with a brief analogy. Think of yourself as a rose in a garden, a beautiful rose that for a long time felt wilted, waiting for someone to come and water it. But now you've realized that you are your own gardener. You have to take care of yourself, and every step we talked about in this episode is about taking care of that rose that you are. The best is yet to come. Not because it's going to happen magically, but because you are going to build it. By working on yourself and making that garden beautiful so that the butterflies come to land in it without you having to chase them. Don't give up, do the work, and trust the process. The person you're looking for is also looking for you. You just need to level up so you can find them, attract them, and build together. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to know. So please let me know in the comments. What touched your heart the most, or what opened your eyes? Or if you want me to talk more about the topic and make a course about all of this in depth, comment, I want more. And if you can, share this video with anyone you think might need it. Because sometimes with just a few clicks, you can change someone's day or even their life. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we have a lot more to talk about and learn together. See you in the next episode.